Gayle King's story does not move in a straight line from struggle to success. Instead, it unfolds in layers, each phase of her life adding depth to the calm, controlled presence the public eventually came to admire. After rebuilding herself in the years following her divorce, Gayle entered a period where her personal and professional identities began to fully merge. She was no longer just a local news anchor or a woman recovering from heartbreak. She was becoming a figure defined by endurance. That endurance was not loud or attention-seeking. It showed up in consistency, in showing up to work every day, in raising her children with stability, and in quietly proving that her life would not be reduced to a single moment of betrayal. Through the late 1990s and early 2000s, her career moved in ways that were not always smooth or predictable. Opportunities came, some worked, others did not. Her syndicated talk show, launched with support from Oprah Winfrey, seemed like a major breakthrough at the time, but its cancellation after one season could have easily shaken her confidence. For many in television, a failure at that level becomes a defining setback. For Gayle, it became another quiet lesson in resilience. She did not retreat or disappear. Instead, she recalibrated. She shifted into a role at the Oprah magazine, where her voice found a different kind of audience, one that connected not through live broadcast, but through written honesty. In those pages, she shared more of herself, including the difficult parts of her past, allowing readers to see her not just as a media figure, but as a person who had lived through real emotional complexity. This period of her life is often overlooked because it lacks the dramatic highs of national television, but it was essential in shaping her identity. It allowed her to step outside the pressure of constant visibility and develop a deeper sense of self. By the time she returned to a larger television platform, she was no longer chasing success. She was grounded in who she was. That distinction mattered. When she eventually joined CBS This Morning in 2012, she brought with her not just experience, but perspective. She understood failure. She understood recovery. She understood how quickly life could shift, and that awareness influenced how she approached every conversation on screen. At CBS, Gayle became known for something that is difficult to teach: emotional steadiness. While morning television often leans toward performance, she brought authenticity. She could move from light-hearted segments to deeply serious interviews without losing her center. Viewers trusted her because she did not appear to be performing a role. She appeared to be herself. That trust became especially important during difficult moments in the newsroom, including the fallout from allegations against colleague Charlie Rose. As the situation unfolded publicly, Gayle did not avoid the discomfort. She addressed it with honesty, even when doing so required emotional vulnerability. That willingness to confront difficult truths reinforced her credibility at a time when audiences were increasingly skeptical of media figures. Her ability to remain composed under pressure reached a defining moment during her 2019 interview with R. Kelly. The interview quickly escalated into a chaotic and emotionally charged exchange, with Kelly raising his voice, pacing, and physically expressing his frustration. In contrast, Gayle remained seated, calm, and focused. She did not attempt to match his intensity. Instead, she allowed the moment to unfold while maintaining control of her own presence. That contrast became the story. It was not just about what was said, but how she handled it. Viewers saw a level of composure that felt almost unshakable. But that composure was not accidental. It was the result of years spent learning how to stay steady in the face of emotional turbulence, both professionally and personally. What many people did not fully understand at the time was how deeply her past had prepared her for that moment. The betrayal she experienced in 1990 had forced her to confront emotional chaos in her own life. She had already learned what it meant to stand still when everything around her felt like it was falling apart. That experience translated directly into her work. When faced with intensity, she did not react impulsively. She observed, processed, and responded with intention. That skill set became one of her defining traits as an interviewer. As the years went on, Gayle's public image continued to evolve. She was no longer seen simply as Oprah's closest friend or a respected journalist. She became a symbol of resilience. Yet even as her professional reputation grew, her personal life remained a subject of public curiosity. The long-ago betrayal in her marriage continued to resurface in interviews and conversations, not because she wanted to relive it, but because it had become such a defining moment in her story. Each time she spoke about it, she did so with a mix of honesty and controlled distance, acknowledging the pain without allowing it to overwhelm her present. In 2016, when William Bumpus publicly apologized for his actions decades earlier, it brought renewed attention to that chapter of her life. His words acknowledged the lasting impact of his choices, describing them as life-altering. But by that point, Gayle had already moved forward in a meaningful way. The apology did not change her trajectory, it simply confirmed what had long been understood. She had carried the weight of that experience and built a life beyond it. Her response, measured and composed, reflected the same emotional control that had come to define her. As she approached the later stages of her career, new challenges emerged, not from personal betrayal, but from the changing landscape of media and public perception. In late 2025, she found herself at the center of a different kind of attention when AI-generated images falsely depicted her as being secretly married. The situation was strange and unsettling, highlighting how easily reality could be distorted in the digital age. Gayle addressed it with humor, but the incident underscored a deeper truth. Even after decades in the public eye, narratives about her life were still being shaped by forces beyond her control. At the same time, her professional future became a topic of widespread discussion. With her CBS contract set to expire in 2026, questions about her next move began to circulate. For viewers who had come to rely on her presence, the idea of her stepping away felt significant. She had become more than just a host. She was a steady voice in a constantly shifting media environment. Her departure, whether temporary or permanent, marked the end of an era not just for her, but for the audience that had grown alongside her. Looking back, the connection between that night in 1990 and her position in 2026 is not as simple as cause and effect, but it is undeniably real. The betrayal she experienced did not define her, but it shaped her. It influenced how she understood trust, how she navigated relationships, and how she carried herself in moments of pressure. It taught her the value of composure, the importance of self-control, and the strength required to rebuild after something has been broken. Those lessons followed her into every stage of her life, from local newsrooms to national television. In the end, Gayle King's story is not about a single moment, no matter how dramatic. It is about what comes after. The choices made in the aftermath, the resilience built over time, and the quiet determination to keep moving forward. Her life is a reminder that strength is not always loud or visible. Sometimes, it is found in the ability to remain steady when everything else feels uncertain, to hold on to your sense of self even when it has been shaken, and to continue building a life that reflects not just what you have been through, but who you have chosen to become.